Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. It is Sunday, February 18, and this is going to be a great show today. My name is Don Daniel, founder of P.I.L.L Method International, and P.I.L.L stands for prepayment of principal, isolating the principal amount, leverage, and liquidity. We help people to understand how to eliminate debt more efficiently by paying a lot less interest, and you could do that with your current budget. But Today, we're going to be starting out bringing Kelly into the studio. Kelly Saunders is here with us this morning. Oh, my goodness. Kelly, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm well. My voice, I lost it on Valentine's Day. I had an amazing Valentine's Day, so I'm trying to recover.
All right, Kelly, that sounds great. Listen, I'm sure you're going to have a lot of good information for us. But Kelly, I want to invite people into the studio. All right. Into the
Absolutely.
studio, and so that they can ask questions. We're putting a link in the chat. We're going to put a link at the top of the chat section so people can come in and ask questions. But Kelly, please, I want you to take the full screen and then just tell us who you are and what you do. Give us a little bit of your background, would you please?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. So, my name is Kelly Saunders. I have been in the automotive industry for well over a decade, and I help people with everything from the rooter to the tutor. So, that's financing, leasing, wholesaling, cash cars, fix and flips, long term rentals, short term rentals, auto equity lines of credit, and corporate lines of credit. I also help people with the automotive acquisition process so that they know they're getting the best possible deal that they could get on the vehicle of their choice, right? I also do automotive coaching as far as getting people money from vehicles. So we teach auction access, how to go into non-dealer auctions, so your public auctions, find great quality cars at wholesale pricing so that you can flip those and make money. And in my ebook, I also talk about how to make money from the car you already have. Because what if you don't want to go and get another vehicle? You like the car you have, you're just a little short on funds. No problem. We talk about 5 ways to make money from the car you already have. So that's a little bit about me. I am a mom of two. I absolutely love the automotive industry. However, I do not love the unscrupulous dealers. So understand that when I talk about dealership scams, I'm talking about the bad ones, and I'm going to help you identify who are the bad ones, right? And how to know that you're getting the best possible deal for yourself, your family, your friends, and the best vehicle as well. Because just because you see a great price does not mean automatically it's a great vehicle. So that's a little bit about me and what I do and how I can help you moving forward.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Look, Kelly, I've got a ton of people here on Clubhouse, and they're getting ready to transition over here to YouTube because I'm getting ready to shut the audio off on Clubhouse. So the only way that you can hear and watch is coming over to YouTube. So you have the link at the top of the page and the link in the chat. So everybody on Clubhouse, see you over here on YouTube. All right, Kelly, listen, I kind of misled the people because I told them about the dealership scam part. I told them about how you can help them to get the best deal on cars. I didn't know you had a book. I didn't know you did all of these things. I didn't know you can help me to sell my car, not just buy a car. I didn't know you did this. There is so much to you and what you do. Can you just tell us? Oh, listen, people are coming. Listen, I want people to come into the studio and ask questions. And I tell you what, the first 2 people that come into the studio to ask a question, they will get my book for free. All right. Get my book for free. The first 2 people that come into the studio to ask a question. And if you're in the United States, we'll pay for the shipping. You live outside the US. I got caught on that once. You live outside the US, you have to pay for your own shipping. Okay. So get ready. Come into the studio to ask your questions now. So Kelly, where did your background come from? Where did all this knowledge come from? How did you get it?
Years, years of being in the dealership. Absolutely. My late husband, rest his soul, he got me into the automotive industry as a whole. And he saw something in me that, quite honestly, I didn't see. And he was able to extract that. He pulled it out of me. He said, "Girl, I think you would be phenomenal selling cars." I said, "What? Nah, not me." He said, "You could sell anything under the sun. You could sell a car." I said, "I doubt it, but I'll try." And I went and I enrolled or applied at New Rochelle Toyota a long time ago, over a decade ago. That was my very first dealership job in New York City. And I fell in love. I fell in love with the ability to help people and solve transportation needs. Don, there's nothing like when you are at work and you're walking the lot and somebody rolls up and they say, "My car was in a total loss. I don't know what to do." And they're frantic, and all they want is to just be made whole again. And you get to be a part of that process, right? Or to hear somebody is having a new baby and they need a bigger car, and you get to be a part of that process. You get to be part of that memory, right? So there's so many phenomenal things that I fell in love with that kept me a part of the auto industry. So all my knowledge came from years and years and years selling cars here in New York City, selling cars in North Carolina, and eventually, post 2021, selling cars nationwide for my clients. So that's pretty much where the knowledge came from. But also, people way smarter than me, right? Going to conferences and being in the rooms where it happens. You know.
Well, listen, Kelly, thank you so much for being here today. But can we listen? Where would a person start? Okay, how does a person prepare to get ready to go to a dealership to start that process of negotiation? People hate going to the dealership. They hate staying there all day. What's behind keeping somebody there all day, going back and forth to listen, I don't know if I could do that, but let me take it to my manager. What is the why do they do that? What can we do about that?
They haven't yet found a better way.
Oh,
But that doesn't mean that the buyer hasn't found a better way, right? So my suggestion would be you never negotiate inside the dealership, because why would you
what?
do that?
You never negotiate inside the dealership?
No.
Oh, Kelly, I've never heard that before. What does that mean?
It means you negotiate from home. You call, text, email. And personally, I only believe in email and text because everything is transparent in black and white. You can always go back to it. So you never have to worry about saying, "Hey, when we were on the phone, you said A, B, and C." And they're saying, "No, when we were on the phone, I said B, C, and D." And now there's a discrepancy, right? So now if you have it in text message or in email, it's all in black and white. You know exactly what they're saying. They know exactly what you're saying. And there's no room for miscommunication in that aspect, right? The next part is when you're home, you're where? You're on your
I'm
turf. You're comfortable.
exactly.
At the dealership, you're on their turf. You're uncomfortable. So you're more likely to be guarded when you're inside of a dealership. You're more likely to be skeptical when you're inside of a dealership. And you're more likely to automatically assume it's not the best possible deal that you're receiving. So you're going to do what? You're going to leave and eventually come back once you figure it out. If you're already home, you don't have to worry about that. By the time you go in, the deal is already done. The numbers are the numbers. The car is the car. You're going in to do the smallest part of the entire process, which is just make sure the car feels good. You test drive it. And then you go into the finance office, sign your papers, and you leave. And that's it.
Well, I'm going to write that down. We're going to negotiate from home. I'm going to come back to that. But we have somebody in our studio audience ready to ask a question. Her name is Yvette. Can we bring Yvette in? Yvette, how are you doing this morning? You want to tell us where you watching us from, Yvette?
I am watching from YouTube from San Marcos, Texas.
Okay, San Marcos, Texas. All right, all right. So, Yvette, what question do you have for Kelly this morning?
What if you are currently leasing a vehicle? Is it good to get out of that? Is it better? Or you have to keep your contract? For example, I did a 3-year lease. Do I have to wait till the 3 years to get out of that?
Absolutely not, Miss Yvette. And thank you so much for tuning in. So it really depends on the person. So for your specific situation, I would highly suggest getting your vehicle appraised before you do anything, right? So that way
Okay.
you know what the value of your car is. And then I would call your finance company and find out what your payoff is.
Okay.
You may have equity in your vehicle. If you have equity, if you don't want to keep it past the 3 years, if you don't even want to keep it past today, because I know some dealerships out in Texas that are open right now today. So if you
Yes.
didn't want to keep it past today, not a problem. But then you would trade it in as opposed to turning it in. And that way they can give you a check for the difference of your equity so you can pocket that money.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I have never in my life heard of that. Yvette, excuse me for interrupting this, but
No worries.
I've never heard that in my life. And so get your car appraised. Why not just ask the dealership how much it's worth?
You can, but I would always do more than one source.
Ah, okay. So now we're getting that car appraised. We know how much it's worth, and we can trade it in instead of turn it in.
Correct.
Oh my gosh. Listen, if I don't have more people coming into this studio asking more questions, because I've never even heard of that in my life. Go ahead, Kelly, finish up.
Absolutely. So Miss Yvette, let's say your payoff is 12,000, but your vehicle is worth 15,000. Now you have $3,000 worth of potential equity that if you just turned your car in, you're never seeing that $3,000 that you owned, that you earned, pardon me, by being a great lessee, number one, by being within your mileage, right? That's what I'm assuming. And also not having excessive damage or wear and tear on your vehicle, which I'm also assuming. Um, so, Miss Yvette, I'm going to do something for you real quick. Out of curiosity, do you have any dents or dings bigger than a quarter in your vehicle?
No, ma'am.
How about any scratches longer than a dollar bill?
No, ma'am.
Are you over in your mileage?
No, ma'am.
What year, make, and model is your vehicle?
It is a 2023 Volkswagen Atlas Crossport.
Oh, you got the nice big one.
Yes, it's a nice one.
I love it. I love it. Okay. So, are you looking to get into another Volkswagen? Are you looking to keep it? Or
I'm
maybe are you looking to get into something different?
I'm looking to keep it, but I want to see if I can get out of it to maybe somehow finish paying it a lot faster, or if it's better to purchase it completely, like with cash.
I love that idea. So, guess what? Now, all you need is the contract for your vehicle. If you don't still have it, that's okay. You can always call your original dealer and they'll give you a copy of your original contract. And that way you can see what your residual value was. So, all you would have to pay to Volkswagen Financial or whomever your leasing company is, you would have to pay them the remainder, right? The difference of what you didn't pay for already, plus your taxes on the second half of your vehicle and your registration fees. So you'd pay your taxes, tags, and fees on the second portion. And then you finance that or you pay it off. Now, I would definitely suggest financing that. I wouldn't just pay the whole thing cash, but that's for Don. That's Don's lane, not mine. But I would say this, it's worth knowing. Never go into it unknowing. So get your payoff and get your car appraised. I did this for my mom, not to be long winded. I did this for my mom a year and a half ago now, almost 2 years ago, on a Ford Explorer lease. The Explorer was worth $28,000 and she was able to buy it out for 23. And guess what? She's in a brand new car now. She just traded the car in and they gave her a check, a whole entire check. It was going to be for 17.5. And guess what? She ended up putting 3,500 down. She got the rest in a check back to her. So it's amazing. Just I would definitely suggest going ahead and looking at the numbers in all the ways possible. Miss Yvette.
Wow, wow, wow. Yvette, listen, Yvette, you want to put your comments in the public chat so people can see what you're writing. You're in the private chat. Nobody can see it but me. Go ahead and put it in the public
This,
chat so people can see
well,
it.
wow. I was just like, wow, this is amazing information because I'm glad I asked this because I was skeptical and thinking that I could never get out of a lease, you know.
Well, listen, there's a lot of things people don't know about the car industry, and Kelly is here to talk about it today. I have something. Yvette, do you have any other questions?
No, sir, that's it.
All right. Well, listen, hang out for a while. You may get an
Yes.
opportunity to get another question. And Kelly is so right. Listen, folks, what Kelly mentioned about getting how you get into that car, she mentioned, financing the car. A lot of people have heard it's best to pay cash for a car. I never pay cash for a car. I always finance cars because with the pill method, you can cut your interest cost on these loans by 50 to 75%. And therefore, you can get an effective interest rate. Now, the effective interest rate is the interest that you actually end up paying, the amount of interest that you actually end up paying. I don't care about interest rate because interest rate is a liar. So what I do is I help people to understand that they don't have to pay all of the interest that the banks are expecting. You can pay a lot less. And then when you figure how much interest you will pay, then your effective interest rate will be around 1% or less by the time we get through with it. How about that, ladies and gentlemen? All right. So listen, I got some more questions here. Phoenix Rising has something here. It says, why don't dealerships, okay, for you, it says, why don't dealerships for used cars refuse to go get a car emissions? I assume they're talking about the emissions test. Why do they refuse to get the car emissions test done? It's free, but they won't do it pre-sale. Do you know what they're talking about here, Kelly?
So, not every state has emissions testing. However, most states will require it for older vehicles. So, I believe that's what they're talking to. So, I'm going to speak on cars here in New York because in New York, we do have emissions. In
Okay.
North Carolina, we typically don't unless the car is significantly older. So here in New York, they don't do the emissions test pre sale because they don't know if the person is going to be registering the vehicle in the same state in which they are buying it. So it could be an unnecessary step in the process. Even though it's free, yes, it takes time. So now that's more time that the vehicle has to spend either in the service department or going out and getting emissions tests done. Not every dealership is qualified to do emissions testing. So if they're not qualified to do so, that's more time that they would have to have the vehicle off of the lot. If it's being tested at um, ABC emissions, right? But then you walk in as a customer and you're like, I want to see this 2013 BMW 335 diesel. Okay, great. But it's not here right now. And then they risk losing you as a customer and waiting for you to come back. So, and then if you buy it in New York, but you're registering it in Virginia, you might not need that. So that's why they don't do it. They wait until you purchase it and then you can do it based on your state in which you live in, not in the state in which you're buying it from.
Okay. Hey, Kelly, can I circle back because you mentioned when we start that negotiation process on the car, you said negotiate from home. What do I need to do to get prepared to even contact my dealer about buying a new car so I can be in the best position to negotiate?
Absolutely. So I would say step one is you have to evaluate yourself and your family and your situation. So you need to know, do you want a car, a truck, or SUV? Are you buying this for your personal use or for your business use? You have to know, are you looking to use this car long term, more than 3 or 5 years? Or is this something short term within that 3 to 5 year category, right? Are you open to leasing? Are you open to financing? And then once you decide on, car, truck, or SUV, people up here in the Northeast typically knee-jerk reaction. I want all-wheel drive. But in the South and the mid-Atlantic states, maybe, in the Midwest, y'all need all-wheel drive too. But, there's some states where you might not necessarily need all-wheel drive. And so you have to think about, do I want front-wheel drive? Is front-wheel drive okay? Is rear-wheel drive okay? In North Carolina, for example, I have a lot of transplants from New York down there, and that knee-jerk reaction of, oh, I need all-wheel drive. No, you don't, because you don't live in the mountainous areas of North Carolina. And guess what? It only snows twice a year, and the state shuts down. Everything melts. It's 70 degrees the next day. So you'll be fine with a front-wheel drive vehicle. So you have to ask yourself, does the car that you're looking for fit your wants and needs? Does it fit your family? And what is its competition? So if you're looking for a
Wait a
Toyota
minute, wait a
Highlander,
minute, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Kelly, you're bringing up stuff that I never even thought of. Not only do I need to find out what car I want, I need to find out what its competition. Why is that?
absolutely, because sometimes in finding the competition, you'll find a better vehicle for your overall needs. Some people, for example, have that knee jerk reaction of Honda is the best. You can't get better than Honda. It is what it is, right? Except in dependability and reliability, Honda is nowhere near number one in JD Power and Associates. So if you're looking for something dependable and reliable, and you have a family and you need a three-row vehicle, maybe the Honda Pilot is not the best possible option for you, but maybe it is, right? But you should always compare it to vehicles like the Toyota Highlander, the Kia Telluride, other vehicles in its class. So that way you could see, oh, maybe this car is a bit more heavier than this other one. This other vehicle, I like the all-wheel drive system in it better than I like in this other vehicle. And you may find out, hey, the car that I found, the Honda Pilot, is the best possible car for me. But you'll never know. And I hate when my clients have buyer's remorse when they go and they rent a car. They go down to Florida for Disney World and they rent a car and they rent that Kia Telluride. And they say, man, I should have got this instead. Well, you didn't do the comparison. So you never know.
Wow, wow, wow. So what else do I listen? Kelly, is there a secret place I can go to find out what the true cost? Because I don't trust these dealers when it comes to telling me, that I got the sticker here, and they say this is how much this thing costs. How do I understand that, and how do I get my good price on the car I want? Is there a secret place I can go to find that out?
So here's my method. I wish there was, right? Unfortunately, unfortunately, there's not. But I would suggest people go to kellysellscars.com and schedule a consultation if you're not sure on how to go through the process, or if what I'm about to explain is just a little too much for you. And you're like, no, what, Kelly, I just want you to do it for me. That's fine. No problem. So step one, I would go on sites like Edmunds, like TrueCar, like cars.com, put in the vehicle that you're interested in, and then open the mile radius up. Me personally, I would travel across the country for an excellent deal. If I'm going to save $10,000, you better believe I will go to California to save 10 racks.
Okay,
But I
okay.
understand not everybody is like that, right? So open the miles search up to something that is comfortable for you. And once you find out what's comfortable for you, that's when you search the vehicle. And you're going to see different prices based on different regions of the country. Not a problem. I know, Don, you and I would probably at least travel 250 miles to save thousands of dollars. We'd probably at least do that.
I would. I would.
Absolutely. So I start by sending emails, right? I go into the dealership's website of the cars that have the best possible pricing to start out with. And I go to their website and I find their internet sales manager or their general manager, and I send them an email. If I'm looking for a used car, it generally says, hi, my name is Kelly. I'm in the market for a pre-owned 2015 Honda Accord, and I see you have one on your lot. It's stock number ABCD123. And I'm looking to see the Carfax for that vehicle And I would also like to know what was done to that vehicle since it was received in your inventory. Can you please forward the service records for everything that was done to that vehicle once it reached your inventory, right? So once you do that, they will send you that information. You do that about 4 or 5 different dealers, never more than 10, but definitely not less than 5. On a new car, the email looks very similar. Good afternoon. My name is Kelly. I'm interested in your 2024 Volkswagen Atlas. I see you have in your inventory. I'm interested in both financing and leasing options. Even if you're not interested in both, you're interested in both. Okay. So um, I'm looking for financing options. It's 60 months with zero down. Assume excellent credit. I'm also looking for leasing options. Zero down, 36 months, 12,000 miles. Assume excellent credit. The reason why we do that, even if you don't have excellent credit, because people who don't have excellent credit know they don't have excellent credit. You can go online to different amortization calculators, right, Don, and different loan calculators. And you can put in your state's maximum interest rate so that it stays personal to you. So that way you know, well, it's not going to be higher than the state's maximum if you have, rebuilding credit. So you can take those figures that they gave you and re-input it with numbers that you know if it would be palatable for you or not. On the lease, though, the reason why we structure it that way or ask for it to be structured that way is because we need to know a baseline across all 5 dealers that we're asking the same information from. Some are going to be out in Mars. We just let that go,
They're
right?
just
Don't
crazy.
even bother.
They're just crazy high.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And some are going to be in a realm of normalcy. Those are the ones you keep, and those are the ones you work with.
So it's about taking the time to do the legwork, ask a number of different dealerships, find out, and then you can kind of zero in on what the good price is.
Correct.
Wow, 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 everybody. Ruby has a question. Ruby, do you want to go ahead and ask that live? Do you want to go ahead and take put that out there? It sounds like a really great question. Or do you want me to do it? All right. So here's Ruby's question. It says, what if you ask for a lower payment due to hardship and COVID, and then I guess you're refinancing the loan? What can you do?
Absolutely great question. So some lenders will give you a grace period of 1 to 2 months. They'll push it back to the end of your loan, but now you're going about 1 to 2 months payment free, essentially, right? To kind of get back on track. I would then also leverage Don's method, right? And pay down on your car over that time in a better way because you're not obligated to the full monthly payment at that moment, right? So I would definitely leverage the P.I.L.L method at that time. But you could also refinance through your credit union if you qualify. So if you are a member at a credit union, for example, I'm a member at North Carolina State Employees Credit Union. If I had a COVID hardship, I would go to them with my payoff from my current vehicle and see if they could qualify me for a loan with their bank because their interest rates are very aggressive. They're great. They're phenomenal. A lot of credit unions do have excellent interest rates in general. Something else that you could do, though, is make more money using your vehicle. So I do mention this in my ebook,
Make
which is
make money.
mhm,
Go ahead and
to
say.
help go toward that car payment.
Okay,
Absolutely.
listen, this is way too much for me to remember. I'm trying to write down, and you mentioned this ebook. How do we get the ebook? Because I think I'm just going to have to read the doggone book. Because listen, this is way more information than I thought we were going to get. How do we get your ebook, and then we can go ahead and continue? How do we get that?
Sure thing. It's available on my website from me directly, but it's also available on Amazon. It's the top 5 ways to make money from the car you already have by Kelly C. Saunders. And it's my second book, Don.
Okay, okay.
But it is the one that was the most popular. And to Miss Ruby, I would suggest signing up with a sign company or a wrapping company, and let them put a magnetic sign on your car. You take some pictures through the app. You don't have to do too much. Just take some pictures of the sign on your car. Take a couple pictures of the odometer on your vehicle. And you just drive around. You're driving around anyway, right? You have errands to run. You got to go to the supermarket. You got to pick up the kids. You got to go see the grandbabies. You got to do whatever it is you got to do. You still have to use your car. So that's when you're advertising for this third party company, and they pay you. They send you a check every month for
No
just
way.
advertising.
No way. I've never heard of that. Somebody will
Absolutely.
pay me, put a sign on my car, and pay me to drive their sign around.
Absolutely.
Lord have mercy. Have any of you ever heard of that? Come on now. Listen. I'm gonna go. My car's paid for. I'm still going. I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out today. If somebody will pay me to put their sign on the car. Lord have mercy. Come on. What else you got? So, listen, you're blowing people's mind. You're blowing people's mind here, Kelly. All right. Wow.
Thank you so
Ruby
much.
says
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Ruby says thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Kelly Saunders. Kelly sells cars in the house today. And if you're not coming to the stage, listen, Miss Yvette, we're going to give you our email address. It's info@thepillmethod.com, info@thepillmethod.com. Send us your address so that we can send you out our book. All right. Signed by me. All right. Because you asked a question. And listen, if somebody else comes into the studio right now, all right now, and ask a question, you will also get a book from me. Miss Yvette, did you have another question? Maybe not. Go
I
ahead.
think I went back to the previous YouTube and then I came back, so I think it was a little bit delayed.
Oh, okay. All right. So are you okay? You have another question, or are you have you asked what you needed to ask?
I've asked what I needed to ask.
Okay.
I'm
All
still
right.
listening. Lots of good information.
All right. Well, thank you for being here today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, you have an opportunity to come in and ask Kelly a question, but let me see what we have in the comment section here. All right. And you're blowing people's minds here. It says now, let me see here. Are they obligated to send you used cars? Are they obligated to send you the used car service record? Are they obligated to send you the used car service record? That's from Cheryl Coker.
Absolutely. Hi, Miss Cheryl. Thanks for tuning in. No, they're not obligated to do so, but a transparent dealer will. If they don't, I would say move along.
Okay, very good. All right, and it says Ms. Brown, if you choose skip a payment, interest will not be deferred. I guess that's a statement, not a question. If you choose skip a payment, interest will not be deferred. Is that a true statement?
Absolutely, absolutely. Which is why, and this is not P.I.L.L method, this is Kelly method. I always say, divide your car payment by 4.33 and pay that amount weekly, because interest only accrues on days in which you do not make a payment on a car loan. This is for auto specifically, because I don't go into anybody else's lane. No pun intended. I don't do anybody else's math. I only do card math, right? So interest does not accrue on any day in which you make a payment. So if you pay your car weekly, right, and you divided that payment and you pay on it weekly, that's 52 days, because there's 52 weeks in a year. That's 52 days in which you're going at 0% interest. There is no interest at any of those times that you're making a payment. But that also means that you're only able to accrue interest across the other 6 days of the week, right? And every time you make a payment, the cost of that interest also reduces every single time. So you're 1,000% right. Even if you defer that payment, the interest still accrues. Absolutely. But that's why I deferred to the P.I.L.L method during that 2 months. So that way you could beat that interest and beat that amortization schedule.
All right, folks, we're going to put something on the screen here to go over something like that is show you exactly what Kelly is talking about here. I have a $40,000 car up here, Kelly, at 5%, 72 months. And this is what it looks like, okay? So the payment is $644.20 a month. And so Kelly is saying now, every single month here, okay, this $166.67 they're going to pay on interest this month is based on 30 days of accrued interest, right, Kelly?
Correct.
So what you're saying is if I take my payment, okay, it's as simple as this, ladies and gentlemen. If I take my payment, I'm going to let me put my calculator on the screen, okay? All right, she says, take the payment of $644.20, all right? And then we're going to divide it by 4.3. Kelly, tell us why we're going to divide by 4.3 instead of 4.
So we're dividing by, it's actually 4.33. And the reason we're dividing by 4.33 is because that's the average number of weeks in a month across a 52-week year. So if you divide 52 weeks by 12 months, you get 4.33.
Come on, Kelly. Oh, I love it. All right. So we're going to do that. So we're going to divide it by 4.33. All right. All right. And that equals $148.78. So you got 0.775. So you round up this 7 to an 8. Okay.
Correct. So you round up to the nearest whole dollar. You always round up to the nearest whole dollar.
So now we got that for our payment every week. So
correct.
What Kelly is saying here, ladies and gentlemen, is that if I let them charge me daily interest on $40,000, I will pay them this much interest, $166.67. But if I pay them weekly, I'm bringing down the principal throughout the month. So if I give them money in week 1, okay, I don't owe $40,000 anymore. I owe something less. So now for the next week, they have to charge me interest on what's left, right?
Correct.
So now what I'm going to do is pay them again. I'm going to pay them the second part of that. And then I'm bringing it down again. And then they charge me what's left. And then I pay them again, and then I pay them again. So here's what's happening, ladies and gentlemen, because the amortization schedule is based on 30 days of interest out of your payment, out of your full payment. Here's $644.20. More of your payment goes to principal, less goes to interest, just because you paid weekly. This does not work on a mortgage, so don't ask me. Mortgages don't work this way, but car loans do. All right.
Right.
And Kelly, if this bank or credit union accepts weekly payments, okay, that means more money went to principal, and this amortization schedule has just been destroyed, hasn't it?
It sure has been.
Okay. So if it has been destroyed, then what they're going to do is they're going to tell you next month, you owe less than $644.20, aren't they?
They sure will.
So what do I do? Do I pay what they ask me to pay?
No.
Why
Don't
not?
get fooled. Don't get bamboozled and hoodwinked. No. They want you to pay on that one day, that smaller amount, because now it had a chance to recalculate all that interest that you just beat. Right?
What?
So no. You don't want to, even though they're going to say, congratulations, your new car payment is only $402, right? I'm just throwing it out there.
Right.
Don't pay that. Keep doing it weekly at that weekly number. And then you'll actually end up paying your car loan off faster. But I will say this, kudos to those who have excellent credit and can get the 5%. But the people who don't necessarily have excellent credit and they get that 18%, they actually pay their car off faster doing this.
Oh, whoa.
Because they're beating way more interest.
So wait a minute, Kelly. Are you saying at the higher interest rates,
Hmm.
This method will actually pay off faster than at the lower interest rates?
Absolutely. So
Ab-
somebody on a 72-month loan
Yeah.
doing this, they'll be done in about 48, maybe 50 months or so. Whereas if they had a much lower interest rate on a 72-month loan, that same 5% on that 72-month loan, they would be done maybe in about 62 to 66 months. They'd
Mm,
still be done faster. It just wouldn't be as fast as if, it's going to sound crazy, but as if they had rebuilding credit.
wow. So let's go, let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that loan. And we've got 5% here. Okay. And then
Mhm.
you mentioned another interest rate for the same
It,
loan. What is that interest rate again that you
it was
mentioned?
18%. I know
18.
everybody is like, what? 18%? Who gets this? Honestly, the a lot of Americans get 18% and higher.
Okay. So when you go in here, Kelly, all right,
Hmm.
and you see that advertising on TV says we approve everybody.
Yeah.
We you come here and all you have to do is bring us a check stub and you get approved.
Yeah.
This is the loan they're talking about, isn't it?
Sure is. And it gets worse. It goes to the 29%. In some states,
Yes.
if it's Arizona, it can go
Yeah.
up to 175% interest on a used car.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about that for just a second here. Kelly, I'm not trying to steal your thunder, but that payment just went to $912.31. Okay.
Absolutely.
And if you need a car to get back and forth to work, okay, this is the best you can do, you're going to pay that. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do to help them. All right. So
Hmm.
now my payment, my interest on this is $600 for the first month. On the second month, it drops down to $595.32. So, Kelly, what you are saying is if I have any extra money, all right, so if I can manipulate this thing, okay, so let's just say I prepay this, okay, just $316. I can prepay this. I save $595. Okay. So
Yes.
if I keep cutting this in half, cutting this in half, cutting this in half, maybe I only have a little bit of money. Maybe I don't have any extra money at all. But I'm telling you, when you put more money here, when you do anything to this amortization schedule, you're killing this payment here. And I want you to see something here. Do you see this principal payment? That's at the 5% loan,
Mm.
$479.52. You have to come up with $479.52 to get rid of one payment. On the 18% loan, you only have to come up with an extra $316.99 to get rid of one payment. So anything you do to this loan, even if it's just cutting the payments in four and paying it every single week, is going to get you further along than this 5% loan, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I tell people all the time. In fact, Kelly, we had a deal when we worked on a deal together where the client actually chose the higher interest rate because it was going to save them more money and get them out of debt faster.
Correct.
So, folks, if you want to know how all of this works, if you want to know how to eliminate interest faster and more efficiently and not get bamboozled, oh man, you want to know more about the P.I.L.L method and how we teach you how to handle these higher interest rates. In fact, I kind of like higher interest rates if I can afford the payment. So if I get stuck with a higher interest rate, I know I don't have to pay all of that interest. There's things I can do. And Kelly, as something as simple as I'm not paying any more money per month. I'm just taking my
Correct.
regular payment, dividing it by 4,
Hmm.
and because of my smaller principal payment, because you attack the loan with the principal payment, you can actually do more damage to this loan. And interest
Absolutely.
payment I skip don't matter. Kelly, what happens if I start this process and I finally get a notice that says, you don't owe a payment this month? What do you do?
Keep making the weekly payment.
What? Listen, Kelly, they're trying to give me a month off. Listen, I'm doing so well. They're giving me a month off. I don't have to make the payment. You say just keep going. Why?
Because this is the best example that I could give. And it's going to sound a little crude. So, parents, please don't judge me. I have 2 kids of my own. But you know, when your baby is first born and they cry, and every now and then you may just gently blow in their face. And then it's like they stop crying for a second, but they like get a little frazzled. They're like, what's going on? That's what you're doing to the loan. If you stop that, that pause of wait, what's going on? That frazzle never, it continues. It never happens. And so it allows for all of those interest payments that you beat, right? That you have beat essentially coming forward to catch up. So you never want to do that. Even when you first buy a car, like let's say everybody goes out and buys a car today, right? Today's Sunday. If you go out and buy a car today, you make that first payment on Friday. And you're going to say, but Kelly, they said I don't have to make it for 45 days. Okay. If you want 45 days of interest to accrue, you go ahead and do that. But if you don't want 45 days worth of interest to accrue, you follow what I'm saying. You call up the lender because you know that before you leave the dealership, and you say, hey, today's Friday. I don't have my information yet, but I know if I give you my social, you'll be able to find my account. I want to make a payment toward it. And they will gladly take your money. Absolutely. So
Wow. Wow.
I would never stop it. And you know what? I wouldn't be afraid of higher interest rates either, simply because I know right down that I can pay it off faster than if I was at 0%. Because if I'm at 0%, there's nothing to beat. Even though it's a free loan, don't get me wrong. But now there's no money to essentially leverage toward other things, right?
Right. And
So
you're not going to get a 0% interest rate unless you have perfect credit anyway.
exactly.
Okay. All right. And so, folks, this is what we're talking about here is that on this loan, you attack the loan with a principal payment, and the lower the principal payment, you control the loan. The
Hmm.
lower the principal payment, you control the loan. And I would never do anything extra to get to pay for a lower interest rate or anything like that. Here's the other thing, Kelly. What about the term? What about the term? Should I get the shortest term available or the longest term?
I would take the longest term that you can, that your nerves can stomach.
So on a new car, my longest term is what is going to be about what 84
Well,
months.
right now the average is 84 months. Yes.
84 months. 84 months. So they said, well, shoot, if I get the 60-month loan, I'm going to be done in 5 years. But why should I take the 84-month loan?
Because you get the smaller payment, generally speaking, and then you'll still be done in 5 years because you're beating the amortization schedule.
Listen, folks. See, this is the thing. This is the thing. All right. We're going to teach you here at the P.I.L.L method. We'll teach you how to get the longest term. And if you get stuck with a higher interest rate, we're going to show you how to beat it all. You do not have to pay all of the interest that they're asking of you. So we got some more questions for you, Kelly. Do
I
you
have
have?
a question real quick.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, Kelly, this is Ruby, the producer.
Hey, Miss Ruby.
Hey. I'm learning so much. Look, and I got $150. I'm gonna get in there $57 weekly now. They ain't playing with me this week. Yeah, right now I did the math. I said, what? I got $250 coming in weekly. I need to pay that down. But my question is, so after I pay this weekly payment, should I also still be making a payment on my monthly at the regular date and time? That's the first
No,
question. So don't pay that extra?
no. So let's say, what's today, the 18th? Let's say your regular scheduled payment is the 25th, but today's the 18th. And so you're just finding this information out today, right?
Mhm.
So you have to calculate the interest up to the date of what would have been your due date. and then you pay that weekly payment plus that interest, and then you start at the $57 a week every week after that. And you never pay what would have been your normal regular monthly payment because it's already still being taken care of. You're still paying the same payment. You've just changed the method in which you make that payment so that way you'll be done faster.
So can you repeat that the math part again of what I'm supposed to do to get started? Because I got a payment due in
Absolutely.
3 days.
How did I know? I just guessed that. so, so you've, I'm assuming, gone the other 27 days without making a payment. You made your last payment 27 days ago, right?
Correct.
So you have accrued 26 days worth of interest. So you have to calculate the 26 days worth of interest and account for that when you make your payment. If you were going to make a payment today, right? Because you're behind from your next due date by 3 days. So you would make that interest payment plus the $57. So if you like, I would say just because you're only 3 days away, make your regular monthly payment on Wednesday because it's 3 days. And then on Friday, make a $57 payment. And every Friday after that is when you would continue to make that same $57.
Thank you so much, Kelly. My last question that I have for you is it better to lease or to own? And I've
Uh-oh.
always asked this, is that based on circumstances? I got a new car loan. Well, what happened was I paid off a car loan. My credit went up. I only paid 3% at the dealership during that time. And I didn't know if I should lease or buy, but I got a brand new car and I did buy it out. And I'm paying on it now. But would it have been better to lease that car versus financing it?
Oh, before you get into that, Kelly, we're going to add just a little bit more information to this. And Cheryl Coker came back and added just a small wrinkle. I'm looking to lease a luxury vehicle to my business. So is it better to buy or to lease? And then talk to us about business buying or leasing as well. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely no problem. So for Miss Ruby, I would say you have to assess yourself first, right? Um, Me personally, if I didn't have two cars, when I leased, well, when my late husband leased my K5, it would have been so bad for me to lease that car because I put a lot of miles on a car in a very small period of time. I'm on the road a lot. So somebody like me who would put 30,000 miles on a car in a year, that's a no. Don't do that. Finance that car. But if you drive within normal limits, for example, like my parents do, then yes, absolutely consider leasing because you're only paying for the portion of the vehicle that you're using. And a lot of people like to be in new cars pretty often, every 3 to 5 years. That's how we get hooked up with so much negative equity, right? I don't know if anybody on this live has ever gone to the dealership and they say, well, you have some negative equity on your trade, but if you leased it, you probably wouldn't have negative equity because you'd be turning in the car or trading in the car, right? Or doing something called grounding your lease. So, what that is, if you lease a Honda and now you want to go to Nissan, you just go to Honda, turn your keys in, and pay the disposition fee. And then you go straight to Nissan and get your new vehicle. That's what grounding a lease is. Um, so, I would say if you're a person who is in new cars pretty often. Maybe you don't drive an excessive amount of miles, maybe not 30,000 a year, right? And you're looking for a much smaller monthly payment than a finance would call for, then yes, I would definitely consider leasing 100% of the time. When it comes to in your business name, step one, talk to your CPA because they're going to tell you what's best for your business up front. It might be better to make that purchase in your business name so you can take advantage of the depreciation, right? Um, but maybe you're a new business and you don't need the the write-off of the depreciation yet, right? Because you want to show profitability. At that point, yes, leasing the car in your business name and writing off those monthly lease payments plus any maintenance like oil changes or tire rotations, things of that nature, might be more advantageous for you. So I would say step one, talk to your CPA. Step two, come see Kelly Sells Cars and we'll get you squared away either way.
Oh, wow, Kelly. Listen, you're giving a whole lot of information here. And be, listen, people who engage the pill method, our clients, part of one of the services that we provide for our clients is when they're getting ready to buy a new car, we let them know that Kelly will negotiate the price for you. They all the things that she's telling you you can do, she remembers right off the top of her head, and she will do all of that work for you as a client of the pill method. So, but Kelly, what if they aren't a client of the pill method? Will you still help them?
I will absolutely still help them, but it's more advantageous to be a client of the P.I.L.L method. So I always believe in being open, honest, and transparent. My consultation fee is $150 per 30 minutes. If you are a P.I.L.L method client, that's waived. You do not have to pay that $150 per 30 minutes at all. And our consultations are recorded, and you do receive a copy of that recording via Zoom because I realize this is something that I do every day, but you probably don't. And I don't want you to say, what did that girl say? Oh man, I got to call her back. No, just go. You can go to the videotape and rewatch the consultation and then remember, oh, that's what she said. Okay. But absolutely, I love working with clients of the P.I.L.L method. And my favorite by far, is when I had the opportunity to fly into Huntsville, Alabama and negotiate $10,000 in savings for a mutual client in the dealership side by side and on Zoom with you, Don. That was by far the best experience that I've had with one of your clients. It's
We
phenomenal.
we need to tell that story because, ladies and gentlemen, that particular client of ours, we're taking care of all of their debt, and they're going to be out of their paid off their mortgage and student loans and everything in record time on our program. And getting that car only added what? But when you got through with that negotiation, only added how much time to the payoff of their house?
1 year.
Only 1 year. Okay. So I think they were going to be out of debt in like 7 years. And they got a brand new SUV. What kind of car was it?
It was a GLE. I want to say it was a GLE 350, but it
Okay.
was a $60,000 vehicle.
$60,000 vehicle, ladies and gentlemen. And listen to this. They told him, no matter what he said, the price is the price. We ain't negotiating. They didn't even take off a dollar. Okay. They didn't even take off a dollar for my client. I said, oh, no, 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 not for a P.I.L.L method client. Let's call Kelly. Kelly flies in to Huntsville. Kelly, can you tell us how that negotiation went, please? I know people want to hear that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And shout out to Mercedes Benz in Huntsville, Alabama, because they offered me a job. I said, I already have one. This is it. um, so the way that it worked out is I flew into Huntsville, Alabama, and prior to going to the dealership, right, I do the same thing that I practice what I preach. And I reached out to a couple of other Mercedes Benz dealers in Alabama, as well as one in Atlanta, in Georgia. I do have a friend who owns the Mercedes Benz store in Atlanta. She's phenomenal. And I also reached out to Birmingham's Mercedes Benz dealer, and I got some numbers from them. Because the thing about Huntsville, as well as a lot of areas in America, is it's nestled, and they're not necessarily next to a huge city without driving to get there, right? Unlike in New York, for example, we can hop on a train or the bus and be someplace else in no time. So that's the advantage that the dealer had in that particular situation. So once they saw, and I was very transparent, I said, hey, listen, we have other numbers from other dealers. We want to do business with you because you earn the service business. That is what tickles the ears of the dealer, is the service business. A dealership will lose money on sales all day long and twice on Sunday, but the goal is to make it up in service. So if you're going to that same dealer that you bought the car from for oil changes, for your tire rotations, multi-point inspections, your regular annual inspections, you're going every time. If something happens to your tire, you're going there. If something happens to your glass, you're going there. If something happens to the electronic system in the car and it's wonking out, you go there. You always go there because that's where they're making up the money that they lose in sales. They're making it up in service. And they do phenomenal service work. They typically have master technicians. So if you're going to like Walmart or Jiffy Lube, you're doing yourself a disservice. Go back to the dealership for your service. But still, negotiate. I digress. So in this particular situation, I went into the Mercedes-Benz dealer, and this client had a trade, and they were severely undervaluing the trade. They could not justify why they were doing something called boxing the trade, because their vehicle was in great condition, had no lights on, no check engine lights, no oil change lights, um, nothing that would be quote unquote sinister, right? It was just a little older. I also had my client, or our client, pardon me, Don, value their car at CarMax, just as a comparison. CarMax was about $3,000 higher than the dealership was. The dealership was willing to come up and match CarMax's offer. However, at this time, it was during the peak of COVID, and there was a $10,000 addendum on the vehicle. So we were able to get that $10,000 addendum on the vehicle removed.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. How in the world? How in the world? So you got them $3,000 already. Okay. And then there was a $10,000 addendum. How did you know it was an addendum?
Because when you buy a car, you have the regular Maroni sticker. That's the regular window sticker, comes from the manufacturer. It's plastered on the window. The addendum is something extra that's next to the Maroni sticker, and it comes from that specific dealership. On the paperwork, it'll show, it'll itemize that addendum. It'll say like window tint, door edge guards, mud guards, cross rails, roof rails, something like that. And then I'll have little numbers next to it. That is an addendum. It's something in addition to the car itself.
My client had spent a lot of time there and did not know that was an addendum on that car. They didn't know that. There's nothing nobody told them there was an addendum on it. They just said the price is the price. But
Correct.
you saw it right away.
Correct.
Lord have mercy. Whoo! Come on now. Keep going, Kelly. Keep going.
So we were able to get the price of the car reduced, the additional $10,000. And basically, I used market-based research. The market is the other Mercedes-Benz dealers. The client already settled on the car. They knew exactly what car they wanted. They fell in love with it. He had been there 3 times. It was now time to bring the car home. Okay. It was time to settle up on this vehicle. So we decided, all right, if he's not going to pay the addendum, but he goes through you for financing, right? Let's make a deal there. So they reduced the price of the car and gave him more on his trade. He was able to see that the dealer was able to see what the Birmingham, Alabama location numbers looked like, what the Atlanta, Georgia numbers looked like. Because, Don, how far is Huntsville from Atlanta?
It's 3.5 hours away from Atlanta.
Right.
It's an hour and a half.
Was willing to travel 3.5 hours to save 10 grand.
Well, listen, they even asked you that. They even asked you that, didn't they?
They sure did. And we said, yes, we're willing to travel. And that's when they said, oh, okay. But here's the thing. During the pandemic, they weren't moving a whole lot of cars either. So they needed to get cars off of their lot. And they started showing us all type of paperwork that I've never seen a dealer show a client. They showed how much they get used cars for from auction. They showed the fees that they have to pay to Mercedes-Benz Financial. They showed us literally everything. So that's how we were able to meet in the middle on the financing portion. And the
And
customer did
Kelly,
finance.
Kelly, I have to ask this. They never would have showed my client that. How did they
Never.
know? What did you tell them that made them show you all of that?
I've been in the business over a decade. I know this. So once you're able to have that leverage, it's like, okay, well, let me level with this girl. And no, you're fair is fair. Um, no dealership has a red cross on the door. They're not going to bring cars away for free, except for one every now and then. However, they still are looking to make a profit, and profit is not a bad word. I just feel as though extortion is a bad word. You should never walk away feeling as though you've been extorted, but you should feel as though you got a good, fair deal from a good, fair quality dealer. And that's what ended up happening in this situation. They got a great deal from a fair dealership. And then I know they go back to them for service A and service B on that vehicle. They are there. So it all worked out. But the best part was when we called Don on the phone, because I said, listen, this is a great deal from my perspective, but I don't know what your overall pill method plan looks like. So let's see what this looks like overall so that we know whether this is, in fact, the best possible deal for you as an individual, as opposed to looking at the car deal separate from the credit cards, the house, all the other things. So we called Don, and Don, you remember how that went? You remember what you said?
Listen, I don't remember the question. So I talked to a lot of people. So you're going to have to help me out here, Kelly.
No problem, no problem. So it was actually really phenomenal. Don brought up their entire portfolio and he plugged in the numbers on the car. And he said, okay, if you buy this car at this particular interest rate, once we add back in your credit cards and we add it to the picture with the home, you go from 7 years of total debt elimination to 8 years of total debt elimination.
And we put on the new car, all right, which started out as a $60,000. That was a Mercedes, right?
Correct.
Okay. And by the time Kelly got done with it, and we put it in there, it was only going to add 1 year to their total payoff if they took the higher interest rate.
Correct.
Come on now.
Now, it just so happened that the person that they had in finance was brand new to finance at this particular dealership. And I called in a favor with one of my lenders, and they were able to get them the 84-month loan at, I think it was 4.5% interest. It was unheard of for 84 months. It was the lowest possible interest rate that you could get at 84 months. It was phenomenal. And the finance manager called me. He's like, I don't know how you did this, but they're ready to write it up. I said, well, you had to call a client and get him in. It was absolutely phenomenal.
So Kelly, I think there was a time when they were still giving them a problem, and then you had them rewrite the loan somehow. Tell us about that problem and how you had them rewrite everything. Can you remember that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So it was just a matter of a mild restructuring of the deal. It wasn't something, huge. However, our client is married. And so the way in which the deal was originally submitted, it was husband and then wife. We flipped it and it had wife and then husband. And that changed the dynamics of the loan, specifically because of the amount of debt they each held individually. It looks different, even though for a car loan, it still shows the total amount of debt that both people have. But when you flip it around, it changes how it looks in car banking. So they were going to go with their own lender, and then we decided we'll go with the dealership financing. And there were two lenders that were going back and forth. one of which was Mercedes-Benz Financial. And once a couple of, I hate to say it like this, but once a couple of calls or a favor or two was made, then they were like, listen, we'll give you the 84 months and we'll even do the 4.5% on that 84 months. And I said, thank you, Jesus. And it was so funny because I called the client to let them know at the same time the dealership was calling me to let me know. And so they were like, I don't know how you did this. I don't know how it happened. I'm like, don't worry about it. It is what it is. But sometimes it's relationships that make or break a car deal. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, that simple thing right there, all right? I wouldn't have known that. You probably wouldn't have known that. My client definitely didn't know that. Just by switching the names made that deal happen. Putting the wife's name first and the husband's name second made that deal happen. It would have fallen apart otherwise, but somebody who knows what to do was sitting there, flew into Huntsville to make this all happen. Oh my gosh. Listen, Kelly, you got to tell the folks how they can. We need to put your website in the chat one more time so people can know how they can get a hold of Kelly Sells Cars. Listen, you've helped multiples of my clients get new and used cars. I'm telling you, it is such a deal. I mean, do you know what kind of weight is taken off the shoulders of my clients when somebody who knows what they're doing comes in and says, not only are they a P.I.L.L method client and we're going to get them out of debt cheaper and faster, we're going to negotiate their terms on their car cheaper and faster and add it in, and it's going to add only about 6 months to a year of their total payoff when we put that new car on there. This is how much interest we're going to save you. Oh my goodness. Okay, so says why did changing the put the wife on first? What made the difference there, Kelly? Somebody wants to know.
Absolutely. So even though you have a buyer and a co-buyer, right? Their overall credit profile is looked at individually and then it's looked at together. So the husband did not have a lot of car debt in general because his cars were typically more paid for or purchased cash, something like that, or the ones that he did finance were older and were just not reporting on his credit report. The wife's cars were newer and reporting more quickly. So when you flip the buyer and co-buyer, they're now able to see the auto FICO. So let me digress for a second. In the wonderful world of FICO, there are 3 different scoring models. You have one for credit cards, one for mortgages and home loans, and one for cars. So in their auto FICO is bad and bougie, baby. They are totally scored way different than everybody else. We can't be just like everybody else in the auto world. So the auto FICO starts as low as 250 as a score and goes as high as 900 as a score.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And then they also look at amounts of car loans, the costs of those car loans, and how well did you pay on those, as well as who was the lender. So certain banks will not do business with people who've done business with other banks. So to put it in perspective, a Capital One credit card holder might not get approved for an American Express credit card because Amex doesn't do business with people who do business with Capital One. So the same thing happens in the car world, right? So if your last car loan, for example, was Westlake, Exeter, American Credit Acceptance, something along those lines, you need what's called a buffer bank. So a buffer bank would likely be your credit union, right? Or maybe even a manufacturing bank. But you're not going to go from Westlake Financial, Exeter, or American Credit Acceptance and go straight to Wells Fargo and Bank of America, because Wells Fargo and Bank of America are going to say, well, wait, their last loan was with what's considered a subprime lender. So no. So in this particular situation, he didn't have a subprime loan on his credit. He just didn't have enough car loans on his credit at all. But his credit was a high number. He had phenomenal payment history on the debt that he did have. Just wasn't enough car debt. But the wife had the car debt. And the banks were willing to do business with her based on the banks that she already did business with. So they were willing to take the chance on her and him together. They just had to flip who was first.
Kelly, there is no way you could have known that except you've done it before, because you had the experience. Not even, listen, ladies and gentlemen, the people who wanted to sell the car, they desperately wanted to sell this car. They didn't even know to do that. And Kelly comes in and says, oh, just switch the names. Let me ask a few questions here, okay? Because I've had that experience before. Folks, when it comes to debt and understanding how it works, you listen, we have 18 years worth of experience here dealing with debt and telling people information that they absolutely did not know and could not get in school because it's not taught in school. Kelly, we're going to take a quick break. You can get yourself a drink of water because we're going to hear from Dr. Eric Thomas, who, he's the number one motivational speaker in the entire world. Let's hear what he has to say about the P.I.L.L method. And we're going to let you know how you can get a free savings and earnings report right after.
Listen to me, y'all. But one of his mentees took us through one of their programs, and I paid off my mortgage. But guess what happened? My marriage went to a whole nother level. And you know why? Because my wife is a security freak. And even when I blew up, my wife would be like, oh, you blew up, but how long is you gonna keep making this kind of money? I was like, I don't know, forever. She's like, you sure? Because I'm gonna keep my license as a nurse just in case you don't. So when I paid the house off, my boy was like, you ain't gotta do that, you can do this. But when I paid the house off using that program, it took the stress level all the way down from my wife because we no longer had a mortgage. Does that make sense? That thing that was coming every month, that was getting on her nerves, we didn't have that no more. And so she was at rest.
All right, everyone. If you want to know more about how to handle this, you go to ice10k.com, ice10k.com, and you can learn way more about debt and how to borrow money from the banks and not get taken advantage of. You can borrow money for less. And I mean at a deep discount, 75 to 80%. So we're going to put that picture on the screen right now, ice10k.com, ice10k.com. All right. And you see right there is Dr. Eric Thomas. You scroll down underneath his name, and you see get a savings and earnings report. Click that button. All right. And you can get a savings and earnings report for free. You can know the month, day, and year you can be debt free. And listen, the client we were just talking about, Kelly told you he's used to buying cars he could just about pay for. He's used to buying older cars because that's what he thought he could afford. When he went to the P.I.L.L method and we told him we can pay off his house, his student loans, and all of their debt in about 7 years, he knew that by adding this new car into his system, listen, we put the numbers in first, which told him he can afford a brand new car, and he never had a brand new car before, and he can afford a brand new luxury car just by understanding his finances. And it's only going to add 1 year to his total payoff on the car, the student loans, the credit cards, and the mortgage. This is AI powered. Our program is AI powered cloud-based computing platform that does all of the math and takes your current budget and says you can buy more with less and have a great lifestyle while you're saving money and interest. If you want to do what my clients are doing, if you want to have, listen, a gateway into Kelly Sales Scholars, Kelly, listen, we do appreciate everything that you're doing. All right. And I don't want to ever take advantage of a situation. But when one of my clients calls you, how are they treated?
Amazing. Like family. We've even prayed together.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Wow, wow, wow. So folks, go ahead and get that. We also have a book. We're going to put my book on the screen. So the book is not the book isn't a 1, 2, 3 ABC. It is not a how-to book. It is a mind shift book on how we need to think about finances because we've never been taught that. And we're going to give you the tools. What tools do you need to pay off all of your debt, your luxury car, your student loans, your mortgage in an average of 7 to 9 years? Why do you need to think about your loans differently? That's what this book is about. Okay. So the other thing, folks, some of you have heard a lot of information that you just absolutely love today, and you want to share it with people and share the P.I.L.L Method YouTube channel. And if that is you, then we're going to take you right back to ice10k.com. That's ice, the number 10, the letter k.com. And then you're going to go down to the bottom here and click on become an affiliate. Become an affiliate. And when you become an affiliate, it's easy. It takes about 15 seconds. There's no selling. You fill this out. All right. Tell us how you want to get paid. And when you refer somebody to us, then you can make anywhere from $300 to $3,000 a month referring people, and there's no selling. What do you do then? You just find somebody who's tired of dealing with debt the way they've been dealing with it, and they want to do something different. Ask them to watch some of our videos on our YouTube channel. That's it. Call them in a couple of days. See if they want more information. And then send us that information by clicking on, now we're going to go back. Here. All right. And then we're going to scroll down underneath my picture right there. All right. And then you're going to click on refer a friend. When you click on refer a friend, send us their information, their name, their phone number, their email, their zip code, and put in your name and your number because now you're an affiliate of the P.I.L.L Method, and give us some additional information, and then click submit. Once you do that, we take it from there. Once they become a client, we pay you. I'm telling you, I can't talk to everybody. I need your help. All right. And Kelly, listen, you have been absolutely amazing today. All right. And I just want to make sure we go back through and see if I'm missing any of our questions here. So Hemp Hand Soap says here, I can attest to that, paying the mortgage off. Let's see, people, will it change your life? It will change your life forever and generations to come. Thank you for saying that. All right. And Eric Toom says, awesome story. Thank you, Eric, for your. Oh, somebody wants to know again, how do we contact Kelly Saunders? It's in the chat, but we'll put her website in there one more time. All right, we'll put it in there for you. Don't worry about it. It's there. Valerie Robinson, all right, who is a client. Okay, this is what she has to say. All right, my son needs a car. Can I buy him a car under my business name?
So that gets a little shade of grayish. Is your son an employee of your business?
That was my question.
If your son is an employee of the business and he would be using it for business purposes at least 50% of the time, then the answer is yes. If no, if he's not an employee or part owner, right, of the business and not using it for more than 50% of the time for business usage, then the answer is no. Um, it also gets, we go in the weeds, but I'm going to keep it surface level. Number one, whenever you buy a car in your business name, this is for everybody. Whenever you buy a car in your business name, you want to make sure you have three things, right? Number one, you want to make sure you have a Dun and Bradstreet number, okay? Because they pull your Duns info. So I know for government contracting, you don't need it. And for a couple other things, you don't need it. But for cars, you do. And it's free to get. The next thing you're going to want to make sure you have is, of course, business income and some business credit. Even if you don't have any business credit, some business income is going to be a necessity. And the last thing that you're going to need is some business insurance. So business insurance tends to be, on average, nationally averaged, more expensive than personal car insurance. So you want to make sure you keep that in mind as well. Without knowing how old your son is, it might be more advantageous to have him on the business and hire him. Because if he's under 25, he might be getting some really high personal rates where the business rate might actually be less. So keep that in mind as well. But also, I want to briefly touch on commingling funds. When you buy a car with business money for personal use, right? You're commingling funds. When you buy a car for business use with personal money and you take care of it with personal money, again, you're commingling funds. That leaves room for, and I'm sure your CPA will get back to you on this, it leaves room for piercing of the corporate veil and things that you just don't want to happen. It's unnecessary. Do not let that happen to you. If you're going to buy a car in your business name, for example, and you want to put money down, make sure that money comes from your business bank account. If you, and I'm not a big, huge proponent of putting a lot of money down on a car in general. I just don't believe it.
Me either.
Right. I look to get as close to zero as humanly possible. And not just for myself, but for my clients as well. The rule of thumb is every $1,000 financed is $20 in a monthly payment. So if you're putting $1,000 down and it's only changing your monthly payment $20, you can't afford that car. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're going to harp over $20, you can't afford the vehicle. So every $10,000 financed is $200 in a monthly payment. Instead, you can put that money to use in an appreciating asset, right? Or a vehicle, a financial vehicle that is going to exceed the cost of the debt from the car loan. So that way you're paying it off with money that you're making money on, as opposed to money you'll never see again. I know it's a lot. You can definitely reach out to me though at kellysellscars.com. And also it's Kelly Sells Cars on Instagram. I will definitely accept your requests to follow me on Instagram, and I will follow back as well.
Let's talk about this for just a second. There are people who have their car totaled and they get a check. They get a check.
Yeah.
Okay. And you'll help those people as well, won't you?
Absolutely.
Okay. But now what she's going to do, okay, most people who get that check use that check as a down payment on the new car. As
Correct.
a down payment on the new car. Now that Kelly is associated with the P.I.L.L method, let's show you. Oh, before I show you this presentation right here. So Ruby, did you have something that you needed to point out?
Yeah, I had a quick question.
Go right ahead.
So how can we avoid them if they're trying to finance us, pulling our credit at multiple banks? How do we stop that? And I know that was a golden one, so I just slide that in there.
This is a good one. Go ahead, Kelly. Then I'm going to talk to you about if you have a car total and you got that check, I'm going to show you the best way to use it. Go ahead, Kelly. Then I'm next.
Absolutely. I love that question. So the best, easiest, fastest way is to write it down. Get a piece of paper, have the salesman bring you a piece of paper. I will apply for this loan as long as you do not submit me to more than 3 banks, more than 2 banks, more than 4 banks, whatever your number is. that you feel comfortable with, you write that down, you write a little X line, and then sign at that line. Me personally, though, right? I believe in knowing before you go. You should know what your auto FICO scores are on auto FICO 2, 4, 5, and 8 across Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion before you ever go. So then we know which lenders are more likely to approve you based on your auto profile, as opposed to do what's called shotgunning, which is illegal. And shotgunning is sending your credit to more than 10, 12 places at one time. Most dealerships that know what they're doing, that operate in transparency, they're not going to do that. They're going to pull your profile once. They're going to look at it and have a conversation with you, hopefully. Tell you where you fall and where they would like to submit you to with your permission. Once you sign that credit application, you get there and you give that permission, then yes, they will send you to those 2, 3, 4 banks. But I would always put in writing that you will not submit my credit to more than X number of financial institutions. And that number is whatever you personally feel is comfortable for you.
All right. All right. Does that answer that question? Oh, man. Oh, man. Oh, man.
It
So
does. Thank you.
yes,
You're very
listen.
welcome.
Thank you, Ruby. All right, folks, we're going to put this on the screen right now. We just got our car totaled. We have a check. All right. For how much money do we have our check for, Ruby? Kelly, what's the check? Give me an idea.
Let's say the insurance company gives you $14,000.
$14,000. Okay. So I have a $40,000 car, and the temptation is to take that $14,000 and put it on this car. So let me show you what happens here. We've got a 5% interest rate, but normally, what would the interest rate normally be, Kelly, for people with decent credit?
Well, right now, that would even be aggressive for people with decent credit. Right now, people with good credit are getting 8 and 9% loans.
All right, let's put it there. Let's put it at 8% because
All right.
I don't know cars. I know other stuff, but we're going to put it at 8%. Okay.
Fair.
And so this is what the payment would be. All right. 40,000 at 8%. And so now we have $14,000. So we're going to put our calculator up here. We're going to put 40,000 in. Okay. Our tendency is we're going to put that $14,000 down. So let's go ahead and subtract 14 grand. And now our loan is going to be $26,000. $26,000. So now we're going to duplicate this tab. Got that 40,000. We're going to put in our $26,000. All right. 26,000, same 8%, same 72 months. Get this advertising off of here. All right. All right. And now it's 455 versus 701. Okay. Now, if a person can afford the 701, I'm going to say, take this loan. Take the 40 grand and you still have your $14,000. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. So now I'm going to scroll down here so you guys can take a look at this loan. All right. So now I have my $14,000. Take a look at cumulative principal here and cumulative interest. This is all the principal payments added up in this column and all the interest added up in this column. All right. So for the first year on this loan, if we follow the bank's way of doing things, we're going to pay this loan down by $5,411.52 and give the bank $3,000 in interest in the first year. But remember, I was going to put $14,000 down on the loan as a down payment, but I still have my $14,000.
Mm-hmm.
What if I used it as a prepayment in the first month? I get the loan, I make my payment, and then I give them $14,000 on top of it. Let's take a look at what that $14,000 does to this loan. It knocks off 30 months off the loan immediately. I save over $6,600 in interest I never have to pay. And look here, I still have a $26,000 loan. But I don't start at payment number one. I started payment number 30.
Right. Absolutely.
So never use that money as a down payment. Use it as a prepayment. All right. And knock 2.5 years off of a 7-year loan. Lord have mercy. That's what I'm talking about.
That's phenomenal.
Okay. A 6 or 7 year loan. So if you can get a 6 or 7 year loan, great. Use that money wisely. Okay. Most people like a lower payment. They don't need a lower payment. So understand how to read an amortization schedule, contact the P.I.L.L method, and listen, we're going to show you. I have one of my clients, Kelly. I show them how they can get an infinity, get their infinity for free.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Would you like to hear that story?
I definitely would.
Okay, this is one of our clients. Okay, so when you're a P.I.L.L method client, you definitely want to talk to us when you're getting ready to make a major purchase. And this client has 6 houses on our program. All 6 houses, because she's a real estate investor, are going to pay off in about 6 years. How about that? Okay,
Can't beat that with a stick.
not with a stick, and they're all rented and making money. Okay. So she's trading in her infinity. They're going to give her $38,000 on her infinity. Okay. She's writing a check for let me see, let's see, was it 24,000? No, 34,000. That would be what, 72 grand. Okay.
Yeah.
So 72 grand out the door. Okay. All right. Now that I think about it, was 32,000. It was 70 grand out the door. 70 grand out the door. They're going to give her 38 for her car. She's writing a check for 32. And then she tells me, Don, this is what I'm getting ready to buy a new car. I said, you didn't tell me you're going to buy a new car. She said, well, I didn't think I had to because I'm not paying any interest. I said, well, what do you mean? They're giving me 38 for my car. And then I'm going to write a check for 32, 70 grand out the door, no payments. I said, when are you picking up this car? She says, I'm going to pick it up today. Tell me what time. I said, bring your computer, meet me at the car dealership. Okay. Because she was already in our program. Ask them if they will cut you a check for your car instead of trading it in. By the time I get there, it's kind of hard for them to say that your car is worth $38,000 and they're not going to write you a check for it.
Right.
Okay. So it's either worth that or it's not worth that. Okay. So write me a check for the car. And they wrote her a check for the car. I said, now open up your program. Tell the program you have an additional $38,000 in your checking account. Okay. The program does a different calculation and says, we're going to put X amount of dollars on one of the mortgages that she has. And it instantly calculates her interest savings. $70,000 in interest savings by using their money and putting it on her car. I say, take that money and putting it on that house. Okay. So we use their money for that. And I said, now your $32,000, guess what we're going to do with that? I said, now you're going to take it back and put it back into the investment you got it out of. Just take it right back home. Take your money right back home, because now we're going to finance your new car for 84 months. You could have knocked her over with a feather. She says, I never finance anything, especially for 84 months. I said, wait a minute now. We're going to put it in the P.I.L.L method program for you. We're going to put it in there. When we put it in, remember, she's going to pay off all of her houses in 6 years, right?
Right.
When we put that car in, she's going to pay it off everything in 6.5 years now. Wow. 6.5 years now, paying off everything. And when we took a look at it, when by paying it the way that she was paying it to avoid financing, to avoid finance charges, we found out when we did the math, she was trying to avoid $6,000 in interest. Only $6,000 in interest, but this way, she got $70,000 in interest off one of her houses, going to get the car and pay off everything in 6 houses and her car in 6.5 years. This is the kind of work we do, folks, when you understand what's happening. What do you think about that, Kelly?
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
And you've
And you know
seen the
what?
numbers.
It's so crazy because I tell people when they're like, I want to buy like, a $300,000 house and I want this, super aggressive interest rate, 3%, 3.5%. I'm like, well, if you don't pay on it like the P.I.L.L method does, you're going to be paying $600,000. You're going to be paying double, right? Because the numbers on a home is so much higher than numbers on a car. She made out like a bandit. Do you hear me? She made out phenomenally with that deal by doing it that way. And the real estate investment that she put the money back into is only going to continue to appreciate in value, where the car diminishes in value. Like, that was phenomenal. And look at you pulling up to dealerships with clients. Okay.
Come on now. Pulling it up. Listen, we do that for our clients. We do
Amen.
that for our clients. Listen, folks, we got some. Listen, if you like this information, put some fire emojis or put a number 9 in the chat. Whatever you got to do, put something in there that says you appreciate Kelly today and the information she's bringing. And listen, we are going to show you the next 3 shows. Okay, the next 3 shows. Listen, this has been fabulous, Kelly. This has been absolutely fabulous today. And we thank you for being here. But next Sunday, guess what? Next Sunday, we're bringing another special guest in. We're going to be bringing in someone that's going to be talking about investing. You think investing is too risky? You think investing is too risky? Oh, no, not when you do it right. Okay, we have Perry Jeffries coming in next week to talk about the best ways to invest. So you don't want to miss next Sunday's show. All right, next Sunday's show, next Friday's show. All right, next Friday's show is, do you know that we're going to be talking about, Dave Ramsey has said, if you can't afford a 15-year mortgage, you can't afford the house. Dave Ramsey said, if you can't afford a 15-year mortgage, you can't afford a house. And with the P.I.L.L method, we're going to tell you, don't you ever touch a 15-year mortgage. You don't need permission to get a 15-year mortgage. We're going to show you the truth about that. And I'm sorry, Mr. Ramsey, but you're wrong here. You're all the way wrong here. Don't ever get a 15-year. You want to get a 30-year mortgage. Listen, if they offered me a 40-year mortgage, I'd take it. Okay? Get your 30-year mortgage and pay it off in 7. Don't ever touch a 15-year mortgage. That puts you behind the 8 ball. And we're going to show you the numbers. Oh, but listen, what season is this now? What season is this? It's tax season. We have on Wednesday a replay on Wednesday, the biggest tax loophole you've ever seen. These are the next 3 shows. Wednesday, tax loophole. Friday, don't ever touch a 15-year mortgage. Don't ever do it. And on Sunday, oh man, that is our investment show for next Sunday, all ready for you. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we want to have you there. Kelly, do you have some final words for us as we begin to wrap this up? And because I think we've handled all of the questions. But Kelly, you've done a marvelous job. You told us how to get ready. You told how to negotiate from home even before you go to the dealership and have all of your ducks in a row even before you show up. And not only that, if you don't want to do all of that yourself, you will do it for us. Come on, everybody. Kelly, what do you got for us? You're muted. You're muted, Kelly. Uh-oh. Is it me? I can't hear her. Is Am I the only one that can't hear her?
No, we can't hear you, Kelly. You might have to come back out of the studio and come back in.
Oh, okay. So while you're doing that, Kelly, listen, I'm going to tell you about a recent situation with one of our clients. All right, who works at an a historically black college here in the area. All right, and it's a Christian school, Oakwood University, and they don't pay a whole lot of money. And so this particular person needed a new car, and Kelly worked with this person, looked all over the country for this person to help them to get a car. And here's somebody who's dedicating their life. They could make a lot more money teaching in another university, but they're dedicating their life to teaching a Christian university. So Kelly comes in and negotiates a great deal for this professor because they needed a new car, but if they had gone on their own, would not have been able to afford this car. So Kelly made it happen. Oh man, right here. That was the last deal you did for us, Kelly. We appreciate that.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. I hope you can hear me now. Is it better? Awesome, awesome. So a couple quick gems. Number one, my website is kellysellscars.com. Kelly sellscars.com. And my Insta is the same, Kelly Sells Cars. So quick tip number one. If you can't do your research before you go into a dealership and you're just going in blind, so to speak, which I never suggest, but if you do, it's going to sound crazy, go straight to the bathroom. If the bathroom is disgusting and gross, it means they don't care. They don't care about their own employees who are there for 10, 12 hours per day. I guarantee you they don't care about you. If they don't care about making sure that they have facilities that are top notch, top of the line, they don't care about making sure that your car deal is top notch and top of the line. I can promise you that. Next thing that I would look for is to make sure you research the Carfax and cross reference it with the auto check. If you don't have access to auto check, reach out to me. If you are a P.I.L.L method member, I will definitely give you a copy of an auto check on a vehicle of your choice that you are thinking about purchasing, complimentary. The next thing, because Carfax can be scrubbed, okay, just like a credit report can be scrubbed, where you can show exactly what you want to see as opposed to what's actually accurate, right? Carfax can do the same. So make sure you cross reference. The next thing I would say is call the dealership and ask them which um, bureau they submit their deals through. If you're in the Southeast, a lot of them use Equifax. Northeast uses a lot of Experian, so on and so forth. Midwest and out like around New Mexico area, they use TransUnion a lot. So call the dealer and ask which bureau they use so that you know which bureaus um, to have ready, right? And you can also lock your credit. I would always suggest to everybody to lock your credit up until you're ready to make your purchase, at which point you unlock it. But you want to make sure that your credit is protected at all costs 100% of the time. Make sure it's frozen. And then at any time that you need to use it, whether it's for a car, credit card, a home, whatever, then you unfreeze it at that time. The next thing that I would say is definitely make sure when it comes to buying a car that you read through all the fees. Some fees are not real fees, depending on the dealership. Good, open, honest, transparent dealers are rolling with regular fees. For example, your registration. Some dealers add in um, a fee for uh, tire rotations. That's part of service. Should be a part of your vehicle service contract or an extended warranty or a package that the dealership adds. Should not be a fee on your addendum or on your bill of sale. Okay. Make sure that whatever fee that you are charged is publicly displayed. For example, your dealer administrative fee or your doc fee. For example, the dealership I worked at was $6.99 was the doc fee. but it was posted publicly in the finance manager's office so that every customer who came in through those doors saw the dealer administrative fee was $6.99 and is to be charged to everyone across the board, regardless of whether that person is from the general public or an employee. If you're interested in more tips and a better way to purchase a vehicle, please reach out to me, kellysellscars.com or Kelly Sells Cars on Instagram. I will definitely accept any and all friend requests that come from this YouTube. So thank you so much, and I appreciate it, Don. I appreciate you more than you know. Thank you so much.
Listen, you have been fabulous for all of our clients. Kelly, you have done such a great job. I had to bring you on the show so that you can share with the general public those things that you share with the P.I.L.L method clients. So folks, don't forget to go to ice10k.com, ice10k.com to get a free savings and earnings report. Also, don't forget to click on kellysellscars.com to find out more about what she is doing together. So listen, I tell you, kellysellscars.com and the P.I.L.L method.com working together, your two largest purchases that you will probably ever make. When we all work together, you'll be able to pay everything off in about 7 years because you will not pay all of that interest the bank is looking for. So go to ice10k.com, click on get a savings and earnings report. Go to also get my book, also get Kelly's book. Start reading and teaching your children these things so that they can know. And we're going to be back here again on Wednesday at 7 a.m. Central Time with a replay. It's going to be a replay, but it's going to be a good one. All right, 7 a.m. And then we'll be back on Friday at 7 a.m. with a live show. And then on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. Central Time. These are all Central Time, all Central Times. Okay, and so we're going to be back here with great information over this next week. I want to thank our producer, Ruby, for doing such a great job for us. Again, we want to thank Kelly, and I want to thank all of you for being here today. So we're going to leave with my video. We got a little bit of a video to share with you. But remember, ICE, that ICE, the number 10, the letter K.com, and we can take care of all of your financial needs. And this is the only place in the world you'll be able to get this information. All right, everybody, have a great Sunday. Thank you for being here, and we will be back here again with our replay on Wednesday at 7 a.m. Central Time. See you next week. How many want to know how to pay off all of your debt in an average of 7 to 9 years? You can do all of this without refinancing, without change to your budget, without sacrificing lifestyle.
Me and my husband do the P.I.L.L method, and last year we were able to pay down $33,000 on our mortgage without feeling like we were poor. We still did tons of entertaining things and enjoyed our family.
You don't have to eat beans and rice every day. You don't have to cut up your credit cards. You don't have to drive a 30-year-old car. You don't have to sell pizzas at night to pay off your mortgage. All you need to do is pay the bank less interest. That's what we're talking about today. Here is what P.I.L.L method stands for: prepayment of principal, isolation of principal amounts, leverage, and liquidity. You understand it? You have a way of getting out of debt more efficiently. The interest rate you're quoted is not the interest rate you pay. You think you're buying a $500,000 home. The true cost of that home is what? $758,000. Total interest paid as a percentage of principal, 51.777%. That's what's going on with this loan. The ability to read and defeat an amortization schedule is not taught at any level of financial education. I need you to understand the power of a penny. You will not hear what I'm talking about from Dave Ramsey. Do you know why?
because I own the copyright. I literally wrote the book.
But Don has some valuable information that can contribute to the quality of a person's life. And it only costs you a few dollars. It's his book. Why not get that?
I'm going to go through the P.I.L.L method myself with some of my investment properties. So I'm going to link up with Don, and then I'm going to sit down with him, show him my investment portfolio, and see how I can eliminate interest.